Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to another week of yoga. Stay firm. Sending that right foot back. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to Alexis Way Yoga. I'm so very glad that you've decided to join me today. Let's hop right into it by making our way down on the mats for a Savasana. Savasana or corpse pose. Taking a large breath in through the nose and fully letting it go. Allowing the body to soften further towards the floor. With our next in breath, we'll take the air a little bit deeper, targeting our abdomen. Feeling the abdomen fill with air. As we exhale, letting the abdomen soften. Pressing the air back up out of the lungs. We'll walk the bottoms of the feet in towards the hips. So we can lift the hips up off the mat, roll them forward and set them back down. Getting rid of the space in the low back so we can be nice and flat to the floor. We'll take both legs up to the ceiling. Circling the ankles around, pointing and flexing the feet. We'll bend at the knees, so we're taking the calves parallel to the floor. And we're going to press away on the knees. So pressing the knees into the hands into the knees, starting to warm up the body and engage the core. Releasing the pressure on the legs. We'll extend the left leg long and drop it to bounce off the floor, coming back in. Taking the right long, dropping it down, lifting it up and back in. We'll go back and forth, moving at whatever pace feels right to you today. Coming back up to our neutral, holding here, engaging through the core, feeling those hip flexors, holding our legs up. And we'll drop the toes down. Extending the right leg long, we'll bring the left knee in for a big squeeze to the chest. We'll take the left palm to the top of the left knee and find some large hip circles here. Taking the knee out to the side, back in towards the chest and around. Switching directions, looping around the other way, coming in towards the chest, down, out to the side and around. Okay, bringing that left knee back in for another big hug to the chest. And we'll find a gentle twist, taking the knee across the right side of the body, trying to keep both shoulder blades down on the floor. We can turn the eyes over towards the left side of the mat. Coming back through center, hugging the left knee in again, and we'll switch legs. Left goes long, right comes in, big squeeze. Now hip circles on this side, right palm to the knee, out and around. Switching directions, looping around to the other way. Good. Bringing the right knee again in for a squeeze. And a gentle twist on this side. Right knee goes to the left. The eyes might turn to the right. We'll keep both shoulder blades down so we're not wrenching the leg open, but comfortably twisting. Bringing the right knee back in for another big squeeze. We'll hug the left in as well, lifting the back of the head up off the mat, tucking the chin towards the chest, and finding a little rocking side to side. Now we'll rock forward and back, finding our way to seated. Extending the legs out in front, pointing the toes up. We'll engage all the way up the legs, so the kneecaps will gently pull towards the hips. Sitting up nice and tall, using those hip flexors. And we'll take the arms up. We'll focus on the breath here. At the end of each exhale, rechecking that posture, reaching a little bit taller, sitting a little straighter. Exhale, letting the arms drop down. We'll take the fingertips behind the body, pointing them away, and then walking them a little further back. Once we've gotten to a place where we start to feel a little tug across the front of the shoulders, But lift the chest, lift the eyes, pull the shoulder blades, the scapulas in towards the spine. As we open across the collarbones and the front of the body. Slowly taking the eyes straight ahead as we roll the shoulders forward. Help us walk up out of here. Keeping the hands back behind us to help with the balance. We'll bring the bottoms of the feet to the floor. We'll want them almost all the way out to the edge of the mat or past the edge of the mat, depending on what's most comfortable to your hips today. But we're gonna windshield wiper the knees back and forth. Now, as you get comfortable with this movement, you might want to bring your hands up and use balance and core to move us side to side. And back through center again. You may notice that you're now at the very front or top of your mat, and that's okay. We'll bring the hands down alongside us so we can bring the legs around behind us, making our way to a tabletop. Pressing into the fingertips, bringing the hands under the shoulders, pressing the scapulas up to the ceiling, and engaging the core, pulling the hips and the ribs a little bit closer and engaging through the middle. So we're pulling the belly button up slightly to hug the core in. Now with an in breath, we'll take the eyes and the tailbone up, dropping the stomach. Exhale, curling into center, arching up through the spine. Back and forth with the breath. Back through our tabletop again. We'll walk the knees to the outer edges of the mat. Big toes come in to touch. The left hand will scooch towards center. And with a big breath in, we'll take the right arm up. Exhale, threading the right arm through the left arm, left leg. Sliding through, bringing shoulder down and side of face. Pressing down through the left hand and threading the right, sending it back up and bringing it down. Other side. Big breath in, takes the left arm up. Exhale, we'll thread the needle, softening down. Now pressing through the right and threading the left up towards the ceiling and back down. Bringing the knees in together, tucking the toes under, and we'll walk the hands in till we're sitting on the heels. Stretching out the bottoms of the feet, holding here. Shifting forward, we'll take the hands a little further than shoulder. Tucking the toes under again, sending the hips up and back for our down dog. Pedaling out through the legs, wiggling out through the hips. We'll extend the left leg behind, pointing with the toes. Circling the ankle out one way and around the other. We'll bend at the knee, bringing the knee up towards the chest. As we shift forward, bringing the left knee to the outside of the left elbow. Pausing and pressing back, three-legged dog. Bending at the knee, bringing it up towards the nose. And back, three-legged dog. Good. This time we'll bring that knee across towards the right elbow. And back, three-legged dog. Bringing that knee in towards center again. We'll drop it down for a pigeon pose. Softening the hips back as we walk the hands in to help us lift the chest up tall. Now we can always use a pillow or a block under the left hip to help us feel a little more stable in this pose. And we can stay here where we are, focusing on the stretch. Or we can add a little bit of core, a little bit of strength, a little bit more strength to this by softening forward and lifting us back up. Softening forward and lifting us back up. Keep in mind you can keep your fingertips down and that makes it a little easier for you. But trying to tent onto the fingertips so we're not using much weight to move us forward and back. We're using that core and the hip flexors. Good. Now finding the more passive stretch version to our pigeon pose. We'll take the forearms out in front, stacking them on top of each other, and dropping the forehead down for our sleeping pigeon. With an inhale, we'll lift the chest back up, tucking the right toes under, lifting the left knee to the chest, pausing, and sending it back, three-legged dog. Releasing the left leg down, we'll wiggle out some more. Now extending the right leg back behind, pointing with the toes. We'll circle the ankle out one way and around the other. Bending at the knee will bring the knee to the chest. And then shift forward, bringing the right knee to the outside of the right elbow. And back, three-legged dog. Bending at the knee, bringing it in towards the nose. And back, three-legged dog. Now across center towards the left elbow. And back again. Bringing that knee in towards center. Softening it down. Pigeon pose on this side. Now we'll find our active pigeon on this. Again, you can keep fingertips down, softening the chest towards the knee. Inhale to lift up. Or you can use no hands. Inhale to lift up. And as well as last time, or like the other side, we don't have to use the active form of this pose. We can stay here focusing on the stretch, on the lifting of the chest, and the softening of the hips. Now for sleeping pigeon. Stacking the forearms and dropping the forehead down. With an inhale, lifting the upper body up again, tucking those left toes under, framing out the right knee with the hands, bringing the right knee to the chest, and back, three-legged dog. Dropping the right knee down, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. We're going to shift forward to our plank pose. Spreading the fingertips out nice and wide, pressing down so that we're lifting the spine up towards the ceiling, giving us a lot of space across the collarbones and the upper back. Now lowering to the floor, we can either drop the knees down, keep them lifted, and we'll chaturanga to lower, hugging the elbows in and softening down. Releasing the toes with an inhale, we'll find a cobra pose. Exhale, softening down. One more time, cobra pose. Lifting the shoulders or lifting the top of the head up, dropping the shoulders away from the ears. And softening down. Pressing into the hands, lifting up and back down dog. We'll drop the knees to the mat, untucking the toes and take a child's pose. With our inhale, lifting the chest up again, sitting on the heels, taking a few breaths. Circling the legs around so we're seated again on the mat. Bottoms of the feet come in, lifting long through the spine, out through the top of the head. Engaging through the core, pulling the ribs and hip bones a little closer, setting back a little further till we start to feel that engagement in both the hip flexors and the core. Now we could stay here with our tippy toes down on the mat for our little kickstands. We can take our calves to be parallel to the floor, or we can extend the legs long. Finding a boat pose variation that feels challenging but doable in your body today. A place where you can hold, where you can breathe, while still challenging yourself. Maybe doing a combination of both, holding long and then coming in a little bit. We'll hold here for a few more breaths. Before extending out a little further. And a little further. And a little further. Finding our hollow pose. And softening the rest of the way down. Full body stretch, reaching the fingers up overhead, pointing and reaching with the toes. Circling the arms down along the sides. And we'll end here in our Savasana. Allowing the body to soften towards the floor. Letting the feet fall away from each other. Letting the hips relax and grow heavy towards the floor. Dropping the shoulders away from the ears. Softening the muscles of the face, around the nose, the mouth, the eyes. Taking a big breath in through the nose. And with our exhale, allowing the body to soften further. Taking another large breath in through the nose. We'll wiggle the fingers and wiggle the toes. Now you can pause the video here if you'd like to stay in your Shavasana for longer. Or when you're ready, you can roll to your side. And I'll take a moment of gratitude here. Thank yourself for coming to your mat today, for taking this time out of your day to move your body, to challenge yourself, both body, mind, and breath, to move and to find stillness and quiet and peace. Give yourself a big mental hug, and when you're ready, you can make your way to seated. We'll bring one hand down to the floor beside us, taking the other arm up and over for a side stretch. Cartwheeling the arms, switching sides. And back through center again. We'll close the eyes one last time. Taking a large breath in through the nose. Letting it go as a sigh. Thank you so very much for joining me today. It's always such a joy and an honor to get to spend this time with you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Go in love and light.